The Proteas' journey at the Cricket World Cup has come to an end, and cricket fans will be treated to a mouth-watering final between five-time champions Australia and tournament hosts India. To help us talk about this, we've roped in SABC Sport cricket commentator and analyst Khanyiso Tshwaku. Good morning, Khanyiso. Thank you so much for joining us on Sports and Morning Live.
Good morning, Ufusu, and good morning to the viewers.
The last time we spoke to you, you were out in Paris watching the Springboks. Let's talk about the cricket now. 7 wins in the group stages for the Proteas. What do you make of how they started their campaign overall in this World Cup?
Look, I think it becomes clear with South African cricket that it's not about how you actually start the tournament, but it's how you end. 7 wins from 9 group matches was pretty much, I think, more than what was expected from them, considering that they made quite heavy weather of qualifying for the World Cup. However, though, the fact remains now that they know from 5 in Cricket World Cup semi-finals with yesterday's 3-wicket loss against Australia, and that's probably the part that people remember the most. They did not choke. We need to be very clear about that. There is a very big narrative that South Africa choked yesterday. They didn't. People need to sometimes understand that, yes, there have been chokes in the past. There have been very painful chokes in the past. But sometimes a game of cricket can be won or lost on the merits of being a game of cricket. And Australia played the better cricket. I mean, it's going to be difficult for any team to win from 24 for 4. I mean, Australia only considered the boundary after 52 balls. Those are the fine margins that determine whether a team wins or loses. Should we have a measure of pride in the team? Yes, because look, we were worried that they may not qualify, and they did. And once they qualified, they found a way of playing that suited their strengths. They tried to back their strengths yesterday by batting first, even though the conditions weren't quite great. David Miller played an innings that, despite the fact that South Africa lost, I think in 20 years' time, we'll still be talking about that 100 David Miller made, because it was an innings of the highest quality. It's just a pity that South Africa just weren't able to just get over the line in what was their 5th World Cup semi-final.
Let's delve a little bit deeper into you saying, of course, we won the toss and we elected to bat first, even given the outcast conditions out in India yesterday, because you'd assume that this is what they wanted to do, because we've seen during this World Cup how difficult it was for the Proteas to chase when they field first.
Look, I mean, they back their strengths, but a key thing is that even though there could be team decisions that are made, you also have to play what's in front of you. You also you have to look at the conditions. I mean, I've read various match reports, and I think one of the most important things that Firdaus Munda mentioned, and Firdaus was actually in India covering the tournament for ESPN, I think also reading in Heinz Schink's match report for News 24 Sport, the key thing was that did Themba Bavuma look upwards and realize that maybe we could have bowled first and actually just play the game, play what's in front of us and play the conditions that are in front of us. I think in hindsight, maybe that could have been the case. But then again, South Africa, they gambled on batting first, backed their strengths. It didn't pay off initially, but they put something together, a total together that, for all intents and purposes, did their best to defend. Unfortunately, they couldn't, because they didn't have enough runs on the board. And remember, there were also 4 very tough chances that they didn't take from a catching perspective. And at the end of the day, cricket, like any other sport, is a game of opportunity and a game of chance. If you don't take opportunities, you're not going to win. I mean, if you look at how tirelessly Australia fielded, how devilishly they bowled, you realize that Australia used that particular bowling window to seal that match, and they used a particular opening batting window to win that game. Because when you look back, when you deconstruct that match, Australia dominated the first 15 overs of the ball, the first 15 overs of the bat, and that's where the game was pretty much decided.
Let's talk about some of your standout players from a Proteas point of view during this World Cup.
Gerald Coetzee, without a doubt, he's been magnificent with the ball. Remember that we were quite worried with the injury that André Nokia suffered in the lead up to the tournament. Gerald Coetzee played 2 under-19 World Cups. I showed why he played 2 under-19 World Cups, stepped up to the ladder significantly for South Africa. Keshav Maharaj was absolutely immense with the ball. I mean, became the #1 bowler. To Bryce Shamsi, played very well yesterday. I think he's been on and off in the tournament, but was magnificent yesterday. From a batting perspective, I mean, Colin de Kock, what was his last ICC Cricket World Cup assignment with the Proteas, was magnificent in the bat. So was Heinrich Klaasen, so was Aiden Markram. I mean, David Miller, yes, The conversion has not quite been there with the bat, but he played the innings that matched it. And I think the biggest thing that we've often complained about in the past is that South Africa's big players have generally sunk without a trace in playoff games. David Miller, I mean, if you look at the 5 semi-finals, no one had scored 100 until David Miller did, and he's the most experienced player in the team. And when it mattered yesterday, he raised his hand. And look, I think South Africa's batting as a collective, when batting first, probably was the biggest high of the tournament. I mean, chases, it hasn't been the case. I mean, they batted second 4 times, 1-2, lost 2, and I think that's probably the one thing that hamstrung us the most, because if we were sure-footed in our chasing, I think we would have actually gone differently when it came to the toss.
Thank you so much, Khanyiso, for your time this morning, and we look forward to chatting to you regarding other sporting events that are still coming up, including the fact that we know that we'll be playing up against India on South African shores very soon.
Thank you.